Greetings everyone, and welcome to the Worlds Unite Mega Man Battle Book Review. Some of you are wondering, what the heck is a battle book? As the name implies, it's a special issue dedicated to just battles. In this case, it expands 3 battles that were briefly shown already in the Worlds Unite crossover. I should point out that the battle book is completely optional. If you miss it, it's nothing to worry about. But since you're watching my review, you're going to see these fights anyway. I'm also doing this review slightly different. If you're familiar with my reviewing style, I summarize one story, give my comments on it, and do the same thing if there's more than one story in the issue. This time, I'm tackling all these stories in a row, and then give my comments at the end. So then, let's get it on! The first battle story is Mega Man vs. the Deadly Three, which takes place during the events of Part 1. Here's the setup. Doctors Eggman and Wily convince Sigma that Sonic and Mega Man were dangerous and that they should kidnap and convert them to his side. As such, Sigma splits up the Deadly Six into 2 groups of 3 to capture the Blue Hero simultaneously. The group consisting of Zaz, Zomom, and Master Zik were sent after Mega Man just as the Blue Bomber was making a simple supply run. Mega Man keeps getting smacked around by the trio while he's debating whether or not to fight back. He's trying to determine whether or not the Deadly Three are robots. Ultimately, it doesn't matter as Mega Man uppercuts Zaz after taking multiple slash attacks. Zomom forces Mega Man through a forest until he ends up in an apple field, where Master Zik tosses apples at our hero. When you think about it, it's actually just annoying to a robot. But the Deadly Three shoot energy blasts that bring down Mega Man. You would think that would end the fight. Nope. Mega Man's able to get a second win thanks to his thoughts about his family. However, Master Zik decides to end the fight by using a standard Zeddy technique, taking control of machines. In this case, he forces Mega Man to charge his Buster and shoot himself in the head. That seriously just happened, folks. Thankfully, Mega Man's disabled, and the ending of Part 1 shows that he's fine, but still! And that's how the Deadly Three captured Mega Man. Our next battle story is the Maverick Hunters vs. Vile, which also takes place during Part 1. The setup for this fight is that X and the Maverick Hunters are invading Sigma's fortress. They encountered Vile, who's got a new form. X went ahead to confront Sigma, leaving Zero and Axel to handle Vile. Vile has the 2 pinned down thanks to his dual cannons. Zero and Axel use a nearby bike as a distraction while they try to flank Vile. Part of that distraction involving blowing up said bike. An enemy soldier appears and Vile orders said soldier to get back to the front lines, until Vile realizes it's Axel in disguise. That was a good attempt, Axel, but Vile's too cunning. So Zero goes for the direct approach. It's the clash of Z-Saber and Hardlight Morningstar. Of course, Vile would use his shoulder cannon for a quick victory. Just when you think Vile's going to win, here comes a psychic hedgehog with questionable hair to stop the fight. Silver's here because he sensed a Genesis portal nearby. To be specific, the one Sigma used to enter Sonic's world. Zero and Axel don't know what to make of Silver until Silver allows them to enter the facility and hand Vile over to them. Zero heads inside and meets up with X. After X explains what's happened to Sigma, Zero takes him to Silver so they can follow, ending this story. Our final story is Sonic Man vs. the Robot Masters, which takes place before Part 3. Here's the setup for this fight. Sonic and Mega Man were turned into robot-sized masters thanks to the Doctors and sent into each other's worlds. This story even features a page of the Doctors watching their creations wreak havoc on the worlds. Plus, Wily mentions using modified Quickman components for Sonic Man, but I'm sure it's just for bragging purposes. In Mega City, the Light Robot Masters witness Sonic Man's attack and prepares to stop him. Time Man uses Time Slow, but it has no effect. Right away, Sonic Man takes down some of the Light Bots. A combination attack from Iceman and Electman seems to stop him, but nope, Sonic Man breaks out and counterattacks. Fireman tries to burn Sonic Man, but accidentally burns Iceman instead. Although it makes sense because fire melts ice, Iceman's actually weak against Thunder Beam, Electman's weapon. Then Sonic Man uses one of Bomb Man's bombs to disable the remaining Light Bots. The story ends with Sonic Man standing triumph and the Light Bots calling for help, setting up the events of Part 3. The Mega Man vs. the Deadly 3 fight was brutal, and this fight reminds me of the boss rush in Lava Mountain Zone 1 when these three fought a blue hero. In fact, in Sonic Lost World, the Deadly Six were dangerous, yes, but deadly? Not really. Here, it does show the Zeti living up to their deadly name, at Mega Man's expense. Even though they're under Sigma's control, they still have their personalities. Zaz is still a crazy psychopath, Zalmom is sensitive to name-calling, especially when Mega Man mistakes him for a yellow devil, and Master Zig's all about teaching young whippersnappers a lesson, with fruit. I was still surprised on how the fight ended. Well, the best way to stop a super fighting robot is to have the super fighting robot shoot himself. Ben Bates worked on the art. While he's no stranger to the Mega Man comic, this work feels more like a stylized manga, which could be a hit or miss for some. The Maverick Hunters vs. Vile fight was interesting. It showcased how dangerous Vile can be without relying on mech armor. And yes, I'm aware you can fight Vile without the armor in the games. I do want to point out some things continuity-wise. First, we have a continuity flub. This event takes place sometime after X7, and Axel's meeting Vile for the first time here. In the games, Axel meets Vile at the beginning of X8. Second, we have a continuity nod. As Zero and Vile trade blows, they point out the fact that neither one can stay dead. For the record, they each died twice, and one of those times was in the same game. Third, Silver's appearance. It might seem like a mere coincidence that he would appear all of a sudden, but let's think about it for a second. When we last saw Silver, he traveled from a volcanic world to a supposed ice world. In actuality, he ended up in X's world, near Sigma's fortress, which is in an icy area. Silver would then home in on Sigma's Genesis portal. While the ending of this story does lead into the events of Part 2, we sadly don't get to see any additional scenes between Silver and the Maverick Hunters. But since this is a battle book, I'll kinda let it slide. To close out this story, the art was done by Jamal Peppers. Finally, there's the Sonic Man vs. the Robot Master story. It's just a way to once again point out how dangerously awesome Sonic Man can get. The first two battle stories were written by Ian Flynn, while this one's written by T-Rex, one of the Sonic artists. Speaking of, the art's done by Brent McCarthy, whose previous work includes the cover for Mega Man issue 33. It's a bit stylized than what people are used to, especially with the Eggman Wily scene at the beginning. Overall, this battle book gets a 7, mainly because of the inevitable conclusion to the fights. If I were to break the battle stories down a bit, I would say that the Mega Man vs. the Deadly 3 had the better story, the Maverick Hunters vs. Vile had the better art, and the Sonic Man vs. the Robot Masters was the weakest of the bunch. That's it for this battle book. However, there's one more coming out in a few weeks, which I will tackle. Until then, have a good day, and be safe. This Eggman face right here. I smell a future meme in the making.